start in our conference. I'm calling it our conference because both our teams are in the conference, and that is the NFC. So I'm going to throw it to you, John. Who do you have for the division winners, and how is your playoffs going to shake out?
All right, I'll start with the easiest one, and that will be, to me, the NFC West, and the division winner is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. Then I'm going to go. I'm just going to say my winners. Then I'll figure out seeding later because I haven't actually thought of my seeding yet. But
okay,
yeah, we'll go with 49ers as the winner of their division. Then NFC East. I mean, to me, and I think to everyone, it's a toss up between Philly, Dallas. I'm a Cowboys fan. I honestly don't really care who finishes higher. But I'm gonna back my guys, and I'm gonna say the Cowboys win the division. But honestly, I have both them making the playoffs. So realistically, most people are probably gonna pick Philly, and rightfully so. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl last year. But I'm gonna say Dallas wins the division. I don't know, maybe they beat them by a game or something like that. So I'm gonna say San Francisco and Dallas win their two divisions. NFC North, maybe a hot take. I'm gonna go the Detroit Lions winning that division. And then NFC South, I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints to win that division. In order, I'm going to have the Niners as the first seed, the Cowboys as the second seed, the Lions as the third seed, and the Saints as the fourth seed. Then fifth seed is going to be Philadelphia. I wouldn't be shocked if they were to have, it's a similar situation last year where Dallas and Philadelphia are actually like two of the three or four best teams in the conference. And then, one of them unfortunately has to be a wild card, which honestly, I don't know. That's a whole different debate, but I think that they should change that personally. I feel like it should just be the four best records, but what do I know? Philadelphia's going to be my fifth seed. Then I'm going to go Seattle as my sixth seed. And this might be a hot take. I ran this by my coworker earlier today, and he said it was a hot take, but I'm going to say the Atlanta Falcons sneak in as the seventh seed, meaning I have the Minnesota Vikings not making the playoffs. That's kind of like the one big team that I think a lot of people would be shocked by I'm leaving out. I don't have the Packers. I don't have the Giants. I have two NFC South teams making it into the playoffs. Anyway, to recap, once again, San Francisco is going to be the first seed, Dallas the second, Detroit the third, New Orleans the fourth, Philadelphia in fifth, then the Seattle Seahawks in sixth, and the seventh seed being the Atlanta Falcons. That's my NFC. What about you?
Wow.
Also, just thoughts on mine actually real quick before we go to you.
I mean, I expected Cowboys, Eagles, like you said. It is a bit of a coin toss, and the Niners out one. You already hit off the bat. That's the obvious one. I do see actually a lot more people going with the Lions as NFC North, so you're not alone there. And I believe I saw earlier. I think the odds. I think the Lions, if not, they may not have the best out of the NFC North, but I think they at least have the second best. I'm pretty sure they have better than the Vikings. Odds, once again, who knows? It's Vegas, but going off that, so not bad thinking there. Saints was a little bit of a surprise, so maybe not too bad. And Falcons, I'll share mine in a minute. But Falcons, I understand the Falcons. Let's just say that.
I'll say this: I don't think
you put them there.
I don't think the Falcons individually is the hottest take, but what he said was a hot take from me was two NFC South teams. That's what he was like. Yeah. That's a pretty hot one. Instead of like I said, the Vikings, or he threw out the Rams, but I was like, I don't know. The Rams roster is pretty decimated. It would have to be a crazy performance from their stars. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so let me share mine. We can go on more into it because so for my division winners, obviously NFC West, San Francisco 49ers. That's the obvious one. Going to your NFC East, I went with Philadelphia. Personally, just because I have concerns about Brian Schottenheimer that's a bit of a concern for me, and I know the Eagles have their concerns, but
I'll say this: I think Philly is the favorite to win the division. Like I'm not denying that. It's just with this, I don't feel like the fact that either of them, I think both make the playoffs. So who wins the division? Like I said, I'm not taking that one too seriously. I'm just backing my team, but I'm not upset if anybody says that Philadelphia is the best team in the whole conference.
And by the way, like we'll talk about like who wins our conference championship and who's our who we have winning the conference. So like. Just stay tuned, basically.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yes, Eagles at the NFC East is who have winning that. This is not bias, but I went with the Packers for the NFC North.
Sure.
Because the defense was disappointing last year, and I expect it to be better this year. And seems like there's just a vibe and like a weight's kind of been lifted off of the shoulders, especially of like a LaFleur and Jordan Love. Not to say that Rodgers, was a total negative thing, but I think, the whole situation with Rodgers Love, as much as it was great organizationally, there you can tell there was some friction. So I think, getting Aaron out and getting a new fresh face in Love and, the new the younger receivers, he already has a connection with them. I'm buying it on that, and I'm just not. I'll go over the Lions in a minute because obviously I got to do my wild card. But I have the Packers winning, favorable schedule too. But anyways, for the NFC South for the last division, I went with the Atlanta Falcons. That's why I was like, I'm not shocked that you went with the Falcons at 7.
Yeah,
because they were a stingy team last year, and I haven't watched the quarterback documentary, but from sources I've heard of, I've watched it. It seems like Mariota and the Falcon, he just kind of.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad, basically. So, now that he's out of the building, they're all bought in on Ritter. I think we saw at the end of last year, Ritter can do at least some of the things, or pretty much similar to Mariota, like in terms of production, and there's still more meat on the bone for him. And then now you have added Bijan Robinson and such. So, yes, I like the Falcons, and you already kind of alluded to it. Like, not the strongest division out. Like that'll be probably the second weakest one in the NFC. Obviously probably NFC West first, and then that one, in my opinion. Or you can argue NFC North, but nonetheless, I think the Falcons win that division. Leaving my wild cards at number 5 is not going to be a shocker. Your Dallas Cowboys going to be. I'm with you. It's going to be a situation where Dallas is going to have like a better record than the 4 seed, and it's just going to be awkward. And then the 6 seed, I have the Seahawks. Because for them, it just seems like the only direction is up. Granted, I think they were the 7th seed last year. I know it's like one step up improvement, but Cowboys are really good, a better team. I expect to have a better record, and obviously they're not winning their division over the Niners. So that's just how that domino falls. And then 7, I went with the Saints for the last slot. Their defense was still relatively pretty good last year. Could be better this year with some of their young guys coming up the ladder, second year of Dennis Allen, and then just getting Derek Carr, a solid quarterback like we mentioned there, I think will help them. So those are my 7 teams. Niners 1, Eagles 2, Falcons my 3rd seed, Packers by default are my 4th seed, your Cowboys my 5th seed, and I have the Seahawks 6 and Saints 7. So that's how my 7 roll out. Who do you have in the NFC Conference Championship, and who do you have winning?
Well, just real quick, I'm actually surprised. Honestly, our lists are actually somewhat similar. I mean, the seating's a little different, but like we have largely the same picks outside of I took Detroit, you took Green Bay. Other than that, all 6 other teams are the same. Which I didn't think Vikings, Commanders, but once again, there's like Commanders, unknown commodity. Sam Howell's just too questionable. We really don't know. It's too much. And then Giants, it's one of the we've talked about. Got to see it. Can they really take that next step? We got to see that. And then I'm not a big believer in the Bucs, but I understand if you want to throw in that conversation with that roster. And I'm with you. I think Minnesota. Guys, so. I think Minnesota takes a step back. Yeah. A lot more teams are going to be focusing on taking away. Like you lose Dalvin Cook and Thielen as just 2 guys that were pretty good staples of that offense. So we'll have to see. And then I'm trying to think of any other teams. I don't think it's really. And then, Carolina, different. They're not making around. So and Bears, I don't think they're too. Go ahead. You had Detroit or no? I did not have Detroit. I mentioned that. Okay. So Detroit didn't make it for me.
because I got to see it with the secondary. I still have concerns, especially cornerback wise. They got solid guys. I'm not saying that it's should be an improvement on last year, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be that much of a catastrophic jump. And I do have concerns front seven wise, who can make an impact outside of Aiden Hutchinson, because he's great. He proved that last year, but now teams I'm sure will be focusing. Okay, let's throw our doubles there. Who else is going to win their one-on-ones consistently? Yeah. And just no one really popped. It seemed like no preseason stuff, but last year and coming this year, I just not really a guy that pops out clearly to me. So and then Jared Goff. I'm always concerned. Jared Goff, he's still really good, but later season, when it gets colder and just dealing with possibly if the O-line gets injuries, just pocket awareness for him is always not great. So who knows? And who knows if how Jameson Williams will come back too, because we still haven't technically seen him as have a full year, so we don't know what to fully expect out of him. So there's a lot of unknown commodities there for me, and then so that's why the Detroit Lions didn't make it for me.
I'll say this about the Packers. For me, if Jordan Love is decent, I believe in them more than I do Minnesota. I don't want to come off as like a Vikings hater. Like, I own a Vikings jersey. My favorite player of all time played for them. I picked them to make the playoffs last year, which at some point at the end of the offseason, that kind of became more popular. But at the beginning, at least, like, there wasn't a ton of people picking the Vikings during the offseason. So like I believe generally in the Vikings. The only thing that I stand by is the fact that we talked about the point differential and the one-score games, and historically, when you look at teams like that, if they do that again next year, I just think there's going to be some of those games that are going to go the other way, and so maybe they win 8 games, and that's, what they win 13 last year, right? Or was it 12?
Yeah, they went through.
So 13 just means that half of those one-score games, because they had like 12 one-score games. If 5 of those go the other way, they're an 8-win team. And so I could see that. It's not even all the one-score games, just half. And the fact that their schedule this year, it's not easy. In the first 3 weeks, they start with Tampa, which with Tampa, I feel like if there's any time for Tampa to like upset somebody, it feels like it's going to be the first couple weeks, because they still have a talented roster, right? Like, they still have a lot of veterans. It's just eventually somebody's going to figure out, like, all right, they got Baker back there. Like, here's how we're going to beat him. And then, like, you're done for, right? But at least early, when everybody's healthy, the veterans are good to go, that feels like the time that Tampa might be the scariest. So you got them week 1. I still think Minnesota should be favored there. But then after that, Philadelphia, the Chargers, the Panthers, which should be, you should win that game. But then the Chiefs, Philly, LA, and Kansas City in the first 3 weeks. Sorry, the first 5 weeks. Week 7, you go to San Francisco. Like, it's a tough schedule. That's all I'm saying. It's a tough schedule. At the end of the year, they got to play the Bengals. They have 2 games at the end of the season where they play, or 3 games where it's Lions, Packers, Lions to finish off the year. It's a very tough schedule for the Vikings, is all I'm saying. So that's kind of part of the reason why I didn't have them in there. So if Jordan Love's good, I could see the Packers being a team. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if the Packers were to win the division, is all I'm saying. Because I still think they have a lot of talent, really, really well coached. So yeah, and I do still have some questions about Jared Goff, but we'll see. All right, so going into the playoffs, we're starting with the wild card round. What are we doing here?
Let's just jump straight to who do you have in the conference championship? Because
all right,
people can go back and dissect it out, or you can just quickly go through if you want to quickly.
I'll go to the divisional round, because then you can just see who I had winning if you want to do the math yourself. But divisional round, I got Niners, Seahawks, Cowboys, Eagles, which is just, I didn't even do that intentionally, but talk about rivalries. 2 divisional rivalries happening in the divisional round. Then I have Niners and Cowboys winning that. So I got Niners, Cowboys in the conference championship, with the San Francisco 49ers heading to the Super Bowl, which will pain me. But yeah, that's what I'm predicting. So I got Niners, Cowboys in the conference championship, with the Niners advancing to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, so we have the exact same.
Really?
Yes, we do. I have Philly, Dallas, divisional Dallas winning, and then Seahawks, Niners, and Niners win, and then Niners beat Cowboys in conference championship.
And that's crazy, because we had different seeding and everything too.
Yeah, so it's different seeding, but same,
Same results.
same results. Yeah, I know it kind of will be because we both have Niners as 1 seed. So regardless, San Francisco, Dallas will be the only difference will be like technically, I have Dallas beating Philly in Philly.
Yeah,
while you have them beating them at home.
yeah.
So maybe a little more, but yeah, I'm same. I think I could be I believe that the Cowboys will definitely figure it out. There's a lot of talent, and like I said, even if the offense is simplistic.
The defense I think, could be really good this year.
Yes, like I say, I think the defense can be even better than it was last year. And then if the offense can get going, just a full year with Dak too, I'm a believer in that. And it's just hard. Once again, to face a divisional rival, we always mention it, like especially a third time in the same year. Like it can get wild and great. And you already beat them last year. I know it was with Gardner Minshew, but still, like it. Yeah, never discounting the divisional rivalry.
I'll say this: I don't know in terms of a head-to-head matchup if it's based on the current forms, if it's really been proven who the better team is. Because I know a lot of people are going to naturally say Philly because Philly was the team who went to the Super Bowl. But that's because I think Philly was just better equipped to handle a team like San Francisco. Because you think about a guy like Jalen Hurts, he's safe, he can run. You get in a tough defensive battle, like that becomes a very valuable asset, is his ability to just like gain an extra 3 yards with a quick little scramble. To where Dallas didn't necessarily have that, especially with like Zeke was kind of at the point where he was, and Tony Pollard got hurt in the first half, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say, like you talked about, like, yeah, we beat them when they had Gardner Minshew. They beat us when we had Cooper Rush. So like neither team got to play each other last year with their full starting roster, and both games were relatively close. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll definitely be a couple of fun matchups, assuming that, you know, the two quarterbacks can be healthy.
Yes, so very not intentional, but very interesting. And once again, another proof that maybe we're spending too much time together because
yeah,
it's wild that we had that.